Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews from March 8th, 2021, with your host, Space2448. Trying to wrap that up, Salon.
Hello.
I before we started, I had the fun news of, oh no, we cut almost every two-parter in half of Beast Wars.
To which I say, I'm gonna hate that by the end of it.
Yeah, as someone who, within the last few years, where you watched all of Beast Wars, yeah. Thankfully, all of Transformers is up on Tubi, so that makes it incredibly easy for us. Thank you, Tubi. If only all of Power Rangers would go up on Tubi since they took it all off Netflix. Yeah, they recently took it all off Netflix like a couple weeks ago, except for, I think, one season of one show, and then the first season of the most recent show, Beast Morphers. And they have made, they have said where it's going to go. I think they said it was going up on YouTube. Which, they're not uploading everything off the bat. I think they're uploading like certain episodes. I think one of them was like the revision of Mighty Morphin, the revised Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from back in the day, which is like, who the fuck wants revised Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with all the like 66 Batman visual effects and stuff? Last I checked, didn't we all not like that? I thought that was universally dumpstered. I would just like the Power Ranger shows I would like to rewatch up there so I can just rewatch them. Granted, I don't know why the fuck they just don't put everything on Tubi, because everything else Hasbro owns is on Tubi. It's not like Tubi isn't fucking free and widely available. Or, I don't think it's like globally available, but like it's still relatively available.
Because
or
reasons.
just, I also don't know why they just don't put up everything at once. Because like, who the fuck's gonna wait on Power Rangers? Just put everything up and be done.
To be fair, you would be surprised.
I know. I'm just one of those people who just like, people want to watch shit, give them shit to watch. It's not that hard. It's fine if you make some things weekly, but those new things that are those things that are going to be weekly should be new things. If you're doing old stuff, just put all the shit up there, because all people want to do is binge it. Let them binge. But anywho, we're covering episode 29, which is the recap episode, so we're not talking about it outside of like one thing on it. And then properly episodes 30 through 32. So how's it feel going into these?
It would have felt better had the first one in the batch not been the recap.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I honestly didn't bother watching all of it. I didn't even bother skimming through it. As soon as I realized it was a recap episode, I'm like, well, just going to the next one.
I wound up watching through it.
Anything of importance?
No.
I thought so.
Basically, you saw the beginning of that episode.
Yep.
You saw the recap for the next episode, right?
Yes.
Then you saw that episode.
Yep.
I think it's watch up to the title roll for that episode, and then you're good to skip it.
Yep. It literally, that scene starts and ends before the title roll. By the time you're out of the title roll, you are into recap territory.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Lynn just starts talking about Chris and how he got vented.
So, yeah. Not worth it. Not worth watching all the way through that one. Which is funny because that is only the second episode out of 32 that I would completely be like, yeah, just don't. I think that's more than some writer shows that we've actually covered.
I will be honest, I can't think of any writer shows that have recap episodes.
I'm just talking about episodes that you could just completely skip and be fine.
Well, yeah, that too.
I'm not really limiting it to just recaps. Because, I mean, let's be fair, most of Ghost.
Okay, speaking of Ghosts, I've seen recently some people turning around on Saber. Because apparently it's getting better. Okay, I'm going to point this out. Ghost also felt like it was going to turn around and then didn't. You want to know why? Because Ghost had Alan, and Alan was really good. His whole thing was supposed to feel like it was the show was turning around, and it was this whole like little arc thing that was going, and it was good. We're in that territory in this show. I would also like to point out that our main writer has not written a lot of these episodes that we are talking about being good. I checked.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that also the same thing with Ghost? Most of the Alan stuff was not written by him?
Yes, I believe so.
So, yeah. Too many parallels for me.
Same. I'm just like, I still don't feel this show. And I feel like what's going on is not as good as Alan's stuff, to be honest. Because it feels like we're once more still dragging our feet and waiting for shit to happen. Even with this whole Primitive Dragon Berserk mode thing going on, I'm just like, look, you already spoiled through the magazine that Primitive Dragon will be gone by the end of this month. So this whole conflict that literally is going to last a month is not even that much of a conflict. It's going to be resolved before the end of the month because Elemental Dragon, my bad, he has two forms that sound very similar to each other. Emotional Dragon's from the movie. Elemental Dragon is his new form that he's getting that is like a red-ish version of Primitive Dragon that has a bunch of elements attached to it. But it's only red and blue. But it's supposed to have 4 elements. Don't ask. I don't know why. But like, it's premiering this month. We know it's happening this month. So this whole conflict about Primitive Dragon being this like possessive berserk form is going to be solved really soon. And we're going to be done. And I doubt they will give us something like as impactful as what happened with Hazard and Build. I don't think this show's going to give us that kind of moment. So, like, it just doesn't work for me. The show's burned a lot of my trust already and a lot of my faith in the show, and it is not making me, like, it's not earned that faith back.
I'm going to say this. I feel like it is unfair to be like, yeah, Ghost Rider's on this one, so the show's gonna suck. And I say that only because of 01. That team kind of showed that they learned from their mistakes.
Right.
Whereas here, we're like, oh, we've got the same mistakes. We're just doing it with a different writer.
Right.
And that's the point where, yeah, I have to wonder if people that are starting to turn around to Saber, if they're honest about themselves when they were watching Ghost, if they were watching Rider at that point. I have to wonder if they kind of felt the same way around this point in Ghost.
I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of people like Alan coming out of Ghost, so. Because, like, right now, the way I see the show going is that we're going to get done with this whole internal team conflict in some capacity with Elemental Dragon. And then we're finally going to get the reveal that, like, Master Logos is the one behind a bunch of bullshit. And then he gets to be main villain because our other three villains who have been the main villains up until now, really, have been garbage and have been pointless. They've done really nothing of importance. And only I think one of them even matters to a character on this cast. And unfortunately, it's the one that's been sidelined for most of this current arc.
Nice.
And that's Rentaro. Yeah. Yeah, our secondary writer has been on the sidelines for like most of this arc, and it sucks. Because he's the only one with any sort of attachment to like the major mega now that aren't Desart, and Desart's done fucking nothing. Nothing for weeks now. He's not even shown up. He showed up once in the last like half dozen episodes to do nothing except fight, and then he's just fucked off again. And I'm like, what the fuck is your point? What do you want? What are you even doing? Because you just show up and then disappear again for weeks on end. And like Sophia's done nothing, and she's supposed to be like an important side character. It's like fucking. The show has no status quo at the moment. Outside of this internal writer conflict that I didn't like how it got set up to start with. And they've gotten some good character stuff out of it, but like once it's over, I'm like, what the fuck does this show do? Reveal that Master Logos is the villain that we fucking knew this entire time? Because fucking duh. A traitor in the organization. I wonder if it's the person in charge. I wonder if it's a suspicious hooded person in charge that let our bad guys have a big scary power up that only landed in our hero's hands by accident. And you're letting him keep the scary power up. I wonder, like fucking hell, the show needs to move on. Is my problem. Because I'm bored and I'm done with what's happening at the moment. It needs to move on for me to like try to care again. Because I don't care about what's going on. I need a new status quo, and I need the show to finally go, all right, here's the real plot, and here's where we're going from here on out. And maybe if it does something, I might not like hate the show at the end of this, but it's definitely not going to be like a favorite show of mine by the end at this point.
Fair.
We are 20 plus episodes in. I have like shows that have been better on the front end of their series, better than this, and I don't like this show on the front end. And it's hard to win me back if you don't have a good front end. But anyway, Dragonite. So we are going to start off, by telling you that episode 29, like we said, is a recap episode. And the only thing of importance is that James mouths off to Xaviax and be like, we need fucking something. They're getting better. We need to be stronger. And Xaviax goes, fine, you're right. And he takes James' deck. He does a little magic on it. And then he's like, here, you've got some new tricks now. Go do them.
Which is also funny because it almost looks as if he's, trying to hurt him through the deck.
Which I would think that's happening too.
One of those that don't really convey that is a power up until the next episode, which is funny.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is all of episode 29, Calm Before the Storm, which takes us to episode 30, Swan Song. So at the end of the last episode, everyone does the whole for Ventara and Earth line and hands in the center, Three Musketeers and all that. But then Wall shows up at the front door wanting to, I guess, arrest everybody. And everyone's like, we're going through a mirror. Time to run away. So they escape to a parking garage and James is, of course, watching them through one of the cars. And it's at this point that Kit brings up that they need an extra edge, because I love how, like, James is just like, they're kicking our butts, and I'm like, it's more like they're forcing you to a point where they're getting to a point where they can retreat. Because, like, no one on their side has won a fight against you, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Brings up that they need an edge, and Cass reveals that she got the Dragon Knight and the Wing Knight survive mode cards for their decks. Which, as we find out, survive mode is apparently a for emergencies only form, and has a time limit on it because of energy consumption. Which,
are either of those an actual thing in the show?
In Ryuki, no.
Okay.
No.
So that's just a case of they might not have had the suits, so they might have a little more limited footage for it, kind of deal.
Oh, they have the suits. We have original footage of both survive forms in the next 3 episodes. So, well, next 2 episodes past this one.
I figured that was kind of their excuse for it, kind of deal.
I think it's their excuse to not have survive mode be around forever, except Lynn says, fuck that, I'm going to use survive mode when I damn well please.
Fair.
And for as long as I desire, regardless of circumstance.
I mean, it's mid-season upgrade.
This is actually their final form upgrade. The Ryuki writers don't have another form besides survive. Yeah. Yeah, and also it's an interesting note because she even mentions that she didn't grab hers, which is their writing, them going, we are covering our ass because technically she doesn't have a survive form because no one else has a survive form in Ryuki except for these 2. Like, that's it. This is a time period in Rider when the main writer would get a form change and the secondary writer maybe would get a form change, but other than those 2, ain't nobody getting a form change. Now, past this point, in like extended media for Rider, I think specifically SIC and I think some concept art, Raya, aka Sting, has had his survive form shown. I forget the context for it, but we've seen what his survive form would look like, and we have seen what Ryuga, aka Onyx's final survive form would look like due to SIC, and I want to say Oja as well from SIC. I think. I might be wrong on that. But we've seen both of their survive forms through SIC. But this was years after both Ryuki and Dragon Knight aired. Granted, Ryuga's is just a black version of Ryuki's survive form, so duh. Although I've looked around to see if anyone's like done like a fan art interpretation of like what Fem's survive form would be, but I don't think I've ever found anyone who has done that. Which is a shame since, you know, Siren here is the 3rd most important writer in Dragon Knight. She literally states she has a survive form, but we don't get to see it. Why has no one done survive mode Siren / Fem? Because, like, I have to think it wouldn't be that far off from Knights, right? Since they are aesthetically very similar.
I think you would be right on that, actually.
Like, I would think you would technically have her different weapon and not the sword, shield, crossbow combo that Knight has. Technically, his sword and shield are a crossbow. It's barely shown in these 2 episodes that are coming up, but it technically has a crossbow mode. Ryuki's also has a gun mode, but again, don't really get to see it. We only get to see the bayonet form of it. If at all, if you want to count it. But I would assume that I don't know what you do with her contract beast, since all of the contract monsters are supposed to turn into vehicles or supposed to become transformers, with the survive modes. I don't know if you just make hers be a motorcycle or if you do something else.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. I mean, fuck it, why not just make it a motorcycle? Even though hers is not as big as the others two, since hers is the swan that's on the smaller end. Granted, I don't think we've seen Blankwing in Dragonite up to this point. Have we?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay. So yeah. Now Kit and Lynn have their survive forms. Spoilers, Kit only gets to use his once. Unfortunately, as you're going to be finding out over this recap, Kit is not the main writer of the series. He's technically the secondary writer. Lynn is the main writer of the series.
Which, I mean, points to me realizing that way far back kind of deal.
Uh-huh. I have to think it's a byproduct of the source footage of being like, wow, Ryuki gets his ass handed to him a lot by every other person on this cast. We can't make him the main writer, can we, if all the writers are supposed to work together? What if we make him the secondary writer? And Knight's technically the primary writer.
Which I feel like that works.
Yeah.
Is it ideal? Probably not, but I mean, it works.
It's a limitation of the source footage. Granted, I think Kit comes out the back end of it being better off, since he will get to have the opportunity to stop jobbing out to everyone at every turn because of Ryuki footage. But anyway, after this, they plan to go after Sabiax. But that's when James tackles Lynn into a car. They have a fight in the car. Technically, because the car does shake around before they get dumped out.
Which is a nice touch, I like.
Yeah. Thrust and Sting's decks fall out of Lynn's pockets. In whatever giant pocket he's keeping all of these Advent decks in at this point. Because he's the one keeping all the decks.
It's the pocket dimension that we don't talk about.
Pretty much. James takes them and then runs directly into the next car. So our three riders then immediately go after him because, fuck that. Give those back, you son of a bitch. Especially since you vented both of them. But they end up splitting up to try to find him. Lynn and Cass are together. Kit's on his own. But that's when Wall shows up, where Maya and the others have been left behind, and takes the three of them into custody. Into not really custody, actually, because none of the three of them were technically arrested at the moment. Kind of. And they're off, like, stuck with Walsh in the backseat as she tries to track down the riders for the entire rest of all three of these episodes, really. Or all two of these episodes. But we catch up with Kit as he finds James and he starts fighting him. He does pretty good until James starts kicking his ass again because James is more experienced than Kit.
Big time.
Poor Kit. Always getting his ass handed to him because of source footage. Because every time he's not stuck with source footage, he's doing fine. Mm-hmm. Every time he has to be stuck with source footage, he's just like, nope, I gotta job out. I gotta get my ass handed to me in every turn.
Every time.
But meanwhile, Cass and Lynn end up fighting Wrath. They're fighting him until Lynn, I guess, hears that Kit's in trouble. And Cass is like, I'll fight Wrath by myself. You go help Kit. This sounds like a dumb idea, but oh well. Eventually Kit's down. He's about to get vented by James until Lynn shows up. The two of them fight for a bit until Thrust's contract monster shows up, which was summoned by James. And Lynn points out, you fucked up. It won't listen to you. And then James goes, oh, really? I have another contract card. I'm just going to go make him mine now. And then does. So now he has Strike's contract monster in all of his cards for reference, which I guess is why they had him take the deck.
Yeah.
That way they can explain, like, oh, he just slipped all the cards into his deck. Which is a better explanation than Ryuki did, because all that happened in Ryuki is Odin gave Ocha the contract cards, and that was it. He just magically ended up with the rest of their respective cards. Oops. But with Strike's contract monster, he tries his final vent on Kit and Lynn. They manage to block it with a guard vent, but end up injured and knocked into a forest for some original footage. Cass, in the meantime, manages to duck Wrath for now by running through a mirror and throwing him off on the other side. James runs down Kent and Lynn as they're escaping again. This time he summons Sting's contract monster, does the whole same thing, but this time he combines all three of them into his new contract monster, Genocider, which I don't think ever technically gets named in series. Probably because they don't want to call it Genocider.
Fair.
But that attacks the two of them, knocks them into a forest. Cass arrives to save them from James. James attacking them further, so it's 3v2. War fighting. Kit and Lynn try to do a final vent, but each of them get interrupted by one of the extra contract monsters James has, which leads to James prepping his final vent, and with Wrath teleporting away while he's fighting Cass, he hits Cass and vents her as Lynn watches. Xaviax and James then leave, and Lynn is left heartbroken at the fact that his girlfriend is now officially gone because she's vented. And Kit's like, I will take care of Strike. And he's like, fuck no, he's mine. And that's where we end the episode. Lynn is pissed.
Yep.
Rightfully so, because fuck this asshole.
And if anyone couldn't figure out who the next one to get vented is, then feel bad for you.
Yep. So that takes us to episode 31, Xaviax's Wrath. So James and Xaviax plan to keep the pressure on, so James is off to go be a menace some more, while Xaviax heals the body of Wrath so he can go fight again. We cut to Kit and Lynn driving around town. Kit tries to rein in Lynn from, making a stupid mistake, but that's not happening. And apparently at some point they end up separated long enough for Kit to have a fight scene where he loses again, even though they were just together. I hate to say this, but these two episodes, these next couple episodes, it's like, you're trying really hard to cover up for what's happening with the original, with the source footage, but there's only so much you can do, which sucks. Because it's really bad continuity wise for two people to be together and then all of a sudden there's only one person and we don't know where the other person went. But Kit finds James, fights him, loses again, almost gets vented, only for Lynn to show up, or only for Kit to dodge the final vent enough to not get vented. But then Len shows up and decides, your ass is mine, and goes survive mode, which, to their credit, this is actually the footage from Ryuki of the first survive mode fight for Night. Fucking his cape wings on wires and all, which looks so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know who thought that was a smart idea, but it kind of takes the tension out of this fight.
Oh, it definitely does.
As Lynn's walking forward and his fucking coattails are on these fucking wires going, woo. Stupidest decision in this show.
Very.
So yeah, Len goes survive mode and then proceeds to beat the shit out of James. Just every turn, nope. You don't get your weapons. You don't get to do anything. You don't even get to beg for mercy. No, your ass is dead, and I'm going to vent you the hard way. I'm not even going to pop a vinyl fit on you if I can help it. No, I will vent you through sheer beating the shit out of you.
Yeah, at this point, he is in complete I will kill a fool mode.
Yeah. Yep. So he beats him up, which leaves Kit to like go, oh, so that's what survive mode looks like. Cool. And then Raph shows up and is like, hey, you gotta fight me now. And he's like, god damn it. So Kit has to fight Raph and continue to lose. Because poor Kit is continuing to get kicked in the dick.
Mm-hmm.
But we stick with Len as he continues to fight James, and as James is like me, like, mercy, please. I know the error of my ways. I will work for you now. And Len's like, fuck you. You offended my girlfriend. You're dead. James manages to get an opening by using one of the contract monsters to like get some distance, but Kit manages to arrive. James is on the other side of this bridge. It's just like, well, I guess I gotta avenge you. And Len's like, yeah, sure you will. And he summons his new version of Darkwing, which can turn into a motorcycle for his vinyl vent, which he launches. James is like, oh, I can counter that, and tries Sting's final vent. It will not go well for him because the two collide. It technically knocks Knight out of his survive mode, but it ends up venting James, who I love tries to run at them and just be like, I'm gonna get you, before he just poofs.
Yet another one that is perfectly fitting for them to be vented.
Yep. Bye, James. Go fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm. Go have fun in the void.
Yep. But we're now left 2v1, because now Xavier shows up as Wrath, and it's just like, we're ending this. And Len's like, fine, go survive mode. He tells Kit to go survive mode. He does. Actually, use of the original footage for Ryuki's survive mode on its first use. Which is why it looks weird that they're standing next to each other, but then in the footage they're looking at each other. Again, limitations to Ryuki footage. I've also noticed something weird about Len's survive mode. Does it look like it's been repainted?
I don't know.
Because on the shoulder, it looks like it looks like it's had like fresh paint applied to it.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah. It looked like it might have recently been repaired when they filmed it.
I mean, it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how much damage it had before they could get it.
Yeah. So now with the two of them in survive mode, they're fighting Wrath. And Wrath is actually kicking both of their butts. Because I think technically Odin, like original source footage Odin, is actually in his survive mode already. I guess, or at the level of survive mode. And I guess they carried that over to Wrath. Even though he has his own survive mode card, but never uses it. So whatever. It's technically the middle bird of the two wings that are the survive mode cards. But anyway, the two of them are no match for Xaviax, so they have to retreat for a second to make a plan. Kit suggests he holds Xaviax down and Lin does the final vent. But Lin's like, no, you do the final vent, I'll hold him down, and that's what they do. So then when they go back to fight Xaviax, Lin's fighting Xaviax while Kit gets kind of tossed off to the sidelines and eventually gets powered down because he used too much energy. Now, I'm going to point out that this entire fight with, like, Wing Knight versus Wrath, that's Ryuki. Like, the footage they're using here is from the end of Ryuki itself. So, if this feels like a final fight, it's because it technically is. Because this is kind of the end of the proper use of the Ryuki footage, for all intents and purposes.
Except that it's not the end of the show.
No, because we have 8 episodes. We have technically 9 episodes left past this one. Now we have to use Ryuki footage out of context. But anyway, Lin tries to fight him, tries to use him like his blast vent that he now has. None of it really works. Xaviax charges up his final vent, tries to go for Lin. Kit tries to intercept him with his, misses because Xaviax teleports, because he's a teleporting bastard, and decides, fuck Lin, I'm going to vent Kit, and hits him with the final vent, and Kit gets vented. But as Lin looks on, it looks like Wrath has been vented. Except when he gets vented, Xaviax is standing in his place. Because I assume Xaviax decided to let the vent go both ways and vent both of them. Because now all of the Earth Riders have been vented. All the Ventaran Riders have been vented. Lin is alone against Xaviax with no way to truly stop him. So Xaviax just takes Kit's deck and just leaves because you can't beat me now. Go fuck yourself. Bye. And Lin is, of course, rightly pissed and rightly angry that he has been played. And now is alone again. But Walsh and everyone else shows up. Maya tries to help him, but Walsh shows Lin a picture of the Advent Master, and Lin says to take him to him. And that's where we end the episode. So not all hope is lost just yet. But yeah, Kit's been vented. Kit's gone for a few episodes. You know, the title character of the series, gone. I will give them credit, it's kind of a bold move to do that. But it makes sense considering Lin is kind of our main character. But any thoughts on these two before we hit the last one?
Nope.
All right, then. Last episode, episode 32, Advent Masters Return. So Xaviax is all happy because, hey, I got no more riders to worry about. I'm going to go put some beacons out with my monsters and, like, start working to teleport every human on Earth to my planet so they can fucking work for me. But meanwhile, Lin is led underground by the Nomen to their cryo storage area where they have the Advent Master in his armor. Lin uses his deck to, I guess, wake him up from his sleep that he's been in since he landed on Earth in Roswell. And yes, that Roswell. He's technically the UFO sighting in Roswell, New Mexico. In the context of this series. But he wakes up. This is technically Ubulon, is how they pronounce it. It sounds weird, and I don't know if I can actually pronounce it how they pronounce it. Because Ubulon's right? Tommy? You there? Yep. Ubulon is the right pronunciation according to what the characters are saying, right?
Believe so.
Oh, okay. But he wakes up Ubulon, introduces him to the others as the Advent Master. But we check in with Xaviax real quick as he's prepping kind of a plan B to deal with Lynn, because we get to meet Adam, the original Dragonite, as he's hanging out with his girlfriend, only for Xaviax to show up and be like, yeah, I need you to take the deck back, and I need you to be a rider again, and I need you to vent Lynn properly this time. Because if you don't, I'm going to tell your girlfriend that, like, you're an asshole. And, that probably puts a damper on your relationship. So do as you're told. And for reference, Adam is being played by Kit's actor. Which I will give them credit, give Kit's actor credit. He is doing a damn good job of playing a completely different person than Kit. Like the polar opposite to him. But Adam eventually agrees. He fights a monster of Xaviax's to get back in the groove of things. Before we catch back up with Ubulon, where we find out about the beacons being put all over the world and them needing to take care of them before, shit goes down. And Lynn handing Ubulon all of the decks because Ubulon can access the Advent Void and rescue all of the riders, with their decks acting as a key to open up the pods they get put in, because being sent to the Advent Void is meant to be a, oh fuck, you're almost dead, this will save you from not dying. But without Ubulon, it's a one-way trip of, well, I guess you're technically dead now. Also, Lacey just leaves because she doesn't feel like participating, and Trent takes an offer from the Nomen to become an agent because fuck it, why not, I guess.
If it was anyone else with Lacey, I'd say she left because she was no longer important to the story, but
yeah. But as he's being handed Cass's deck, which is the last one Lynn gives him, he goes, well, Lynn might need backup until I can get him more backup. Maya, do you want to be a temporary siren for like a couple episodes? And Maya's like, sure? And she gets the deck transferred over to her because Ubulon can transfer the decks as necessary, which makes sense. He made the decks. I don't know if that's been stated in show, but yeah, he's the one who made all the decks.
Yeah, at this point it has.
Okay, yeah. But he transfers the deck to Maya's care, and also just gives her all of Cass's fighting abilities so she can fight. And then she goes off screen to go don the rider uniform of leather jacket and jeans and boots, so her and Lynn can go fight some monsters and blow up some transmitters on the back half of this episode. And they do well until Xaviax sees all this and is like, okay, new plan, Adam. Now you're going to befriend Lynn and you're going to find out what they're doing, and then you'll stab him in the back at some point later. Got it? And Adam's like, fine. And then he leaves. And we end the episode with him coming across Lynn and identifying himself as Adam. And that is where we end for the week. So how'd you feel about these 3 episodes and a recap?
Well, the 30 episodes were good.
Yeah.
Kind of can feel like we're at the end, but they also might not have realized that it was going to come as quick.
To be fair, the show was canceled before the last 2 episodes of the series got to air. So, technically, yes. Well, it's a good episode. I honestly, I kind of like the shock of Kit gets vented and he's gone, and it really feels like, well, we're screwed now, aren't we? Like Xaviax just proved that he could probably take Lin on his own. Like, he needs backup, but there is no backup. And then Advent Master comes in, that we've actually been hinting at since like the start of the show, and it's like, okay, maybe we can win. And also Maya gets to be a writer for 2 episodes, which is just one of those like, okay, sure, you didn't need to do this, but I guess we'll do this.
I mean, better than her doing nothing.
Yeah, because she's the only one left with nothing, with like without anything to do besides leave or do tech stuff. Because Trent's working on a way to track the beacons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I give him credit for being ballsy enough to vent Kit and to leave Lin alone again. And also for us to bring Adam back, which, like, does Xaviax not know that Lin knows that Adam betrayed them?
I don't think he cares.
Probably not. He probably just wants Adam in there as a distraction.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh no, you got vented. Oh no. Oh, how bad. You did a piss poor job anyway. But I also have to think, like, Adam, what do you think their first reaction is going to be? Especially Lin. Like, you're going to be lucky Lin doesn't rip your ass apart the first second he sees you. Spoilers, that's exactly what he's going to do, though. Because Lin is not in the mood to fuck around. Yeah, it's good 3 episodes. We are setting up for the end. We've got 2 weeks left, and then we move on to Beast Wars. So, any other thoughts?
No.
All right, then. Thursday will be more Xenoblade Chronicles. Friday is Halo. Saturday is a multiplayer thing. And Sunday is when we come back with more Dragonite. So if you like what you've seen, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chip in at that affiliate goal. At Teaches on Twitter gets you updates when we go live. Next Push Point Discord chat. It's Discord link. Drop by. Say hi. See you next week, folks.